36 members of Congress from across both the parties. That's all of the parties. What, both of them? All of them? Yeah, both and all is the same thing. Violated their own insider trading laws. Is that right? Or is it evidence of systemic corruption that goes on between government and big business? Let's have a look. Firstly, thank you, all of you, 4 million of you, for subscribing to this channel. I'm very, very grateful to you. You told me that you don't want me to change the name of this channel, so we're not changing the name of this channel. We listen to your comments. That's why we want you to stay to the end of this video, comment, like, subscribe, and remain in this conversation. One of the things we're always covering on this channel is systemic corruption. What does systemic corruption mean? It means that the relationships between government and big business and media are so corrupt that it's sort of impossible to change the system. This story that 36 members of Congress in your country, America over there, have been found guilty of violating their own insider trading laws is precisely the kind of problem we're talking about. Let's, for example, raise the idea right at the top of this video. Would it not be better that if you are a member of Congress, you couldn't participate in that stuff at all? Wouldn't that change things? Wouldn't that mean you'd get a whole different class of people entering into politics? Wouldn't it mean you'd get more objectivity around financial corruption? Oh, but it's just the way it is. Things can't change. People that tell you that want it to stay the same. It can't change. But rather than saying it shouldn't change, just tell people it can't change. Then you don't need to debate whether or not it can. You know, the same with lobbying and donations and the myriad ways in which politics gets wrenched away from being what it should. The practice of representing the ordinary people of the country you're in government of, and it becomes mangled, wrangled, and directed towards the representation of the interests of the powerful. The only way to prevent that, or at least the beginning to creating change, is take money out of politics. If you're not interested in doing that, you're not gonna create any change. Now, obviously, I'd go a lot further and say, what about the institutions themselves, the system of Congress, the system of the Senate or Parliament in my country? Aren't they so entrenched in a problematic relationship that they can never work? Shouldn't we establish new bodies of governance, devolve where possible, decentralize power so the possibility of these relationships no longer exists? That is what I would say. But for now, let's point out what the hell's been going on with these 36 swine. Insider and several other news organisations have this year identified 37 members of Congress who have failed to properly report their financial trades as mandated by the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act of 2012, also known as the Stock Act. Good that they thought of a shorter version, because the first name was boring even to read. Congress passed the law in 2012 to combat insider trading and conflicts of interest among their own members and force lawmakers to be more transparent about their personal financial dealings. That's weird, isn't it? Because you know when they were voting for that, they're like, oh yeah, we should be more honest, shouldn't I? Oh. Like whenever they have to do a vote on whether they should get paid more money in my country, Britain, they're always like, yeah, I think probably we should we? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think objectively. Do I want more money? Yeah, I do. I vote for yeah, I do. A key provision of the law mandates that lawmakers publicly and quickly disclose any stock trade made by themselves, a spouse, or a dependent child. Oh, I should probably quickly tell you that I've just made a bit of a stock trade there, and also, yes, we are regulating that organisation, and I do stand to make a lot of money. Did you tell us that quickly? I don't know, it was a couple of years ago. Is it too late? Sorry, try my best. What about by a dependent child as well? I like that additional wrinkle, a dependent child. Mummy, I'm gonna make a stock trade. Have you got any insider information that I can move out at Box bedroom? Yeah, I tell you something now. Facebook is going to be regulated, but in a way that's not going to affect their profits. Oh, I think I'll buy some of them shares. Many members of Congress have not fully complied with the law. What? They offer excuses, including ignorance of the law. Oh, well, I didn't know about that law. You wrote that law. Yeah, I wasn't concentrating. I was actually on an app at that time, trading. Ignorance of the law, clerical errors, and mistakes by an accountant. My dependent child is my accountant. Dependent child, have you done my accounts? Oh, I'm trying to, but what are all these wiggly worms? This wiggly worm plus that wiggly worm, what does that mean? Dependent child, you idiot! While lawmakers who violate the Stock Act face a fine, the penalty is usually small. Oh, it's meaningless. $200? That's not as bad as a driving offence. A $200 fine for violating a law that you yourself wrote. I mean, you should be punished for that just because it's bloody clumsy. Or waived by the House or Senate ethics officials. Oh, no, don't worry about that. What happened? Was it dependent child? Yes, it was. Dependent child went and blundered again. Well, just keep an eye on dependent child. I've got no choice. He's still in the goddamn box room. Ethics watchdogs and even some members of Congress have called for stricter penalties and even a ban on federal lawmakers from trading individual stocks. What? Whoa! Well, no, but that would be crazy that, like, Congress people couldn't trade on individuals. Like, what kind of world would that be where people in government were so focused on being in government that they didn't have time to exploit their position? That's not a world I want to live in. Is it you? Like, sometimes they go all mad, don't they? Like, if a footballer does something, gambles on the result of a game that they are playing in. You gambled on the result of a game in which you were playing. I'm sorry, sir, I did. I've disgraced the flag. I'm so sorry, sir, for disgracing that flag. People in government, actual government, sport's just a made-up peccadillo, whilst it can have all sorts of soft power and corporate and financial power. It's not actual government. We're all just pretending it's important for a laugh. Government, maybe it's the same thing. Maybe it's just another type of sport. Lawmakers who have this year violated the Stock Act to one extent or another, to one extent, some have really violated it, include Senator Dianne Feinstein. She's a Democrat from California. Feinstein was months late disclosing a 5-figure investment her husband made into a private youth-focused polling company. 5 months it took to get round to that. And also, I don't like the phrase youth polling. Senator Rand Paul, a hero to many, Republican from Kentucky. Paul was 16 months late in disclosing that his wife bought a stock in a biopharmaceutical company that manufactures an antiviral COVID-19 treatment, the Washington Post reported. See, it's everybody's at it. Representative Kevin Hern, a Republican from Oklahoma. Hern did not disclose 24 stock trades in violation of the Stock Act. Together, the trades are worth as much as $2.7 million. Others include Pat Fallon, Texas, a Republican. Fallon was months late in disclosing dozens of stock trades during early and mid-2021 that together are worth as much as $17.5 million. Susie Lee, a Democrat of Nevada. Lee failed to properly disclose more than 200 stock trades that may have made $3.3 million. Diane Harshberger, Catherine Clark, Democrat. Blake Moore, Republican, $1 million. And also, within this, it would be unreasonable not to mention your hero, Nancy Pelosi. Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband gained nearly $5 million on a trade of stocks in Google parent company Alphabet Inc. and also added bets to Amazon and Apple ahead of the House Judiciary Committee's vote to advance 5 antitrust bills targeting major tech giants. Pelosi held at least one private conversation with Apple CEO Tim Cook about the state of Apple and possible effects on the company from various pending bills to reform Silicon Valley. Last month, NPR reported that retail traders and TikTokers are trading stocks by copying what Pelosi and members of Congress do. Well, you would, wouldn't you? Because she knows. She obviously knows. That is what a unfortunate business for those of us that are trying ardently to believe in democracy, to hear of that level of corruption. Again, this is an important subject and for me, a great video because it precisely points to the nature of the problem. It's systemic. If you don't change the system, even if there's people on that list that you might really like, people on that list you might really hate, that probably depends on which party you like better. I'm starting to think, it doesn't make any difference really when it comes to the crunch. You're going to get this type of problem. Years ago, one of the parties seemed really authoritarian and what do I want to say, puritanical. Now another one of the parties seems authoritarian and puritanical. What's changing? What's going on? What do you really care about? You care about your own life, your family life, and your community life, your ability to be free. Now these kind of issues, they're off the table while we're scrambling around in various aspects of the culture war, whilst it does cover important topics and certain hot button issues around individual liberty. What we really need to embrace and focus on is how do we as individuals and a community have access to power to run our own lives without hurting anybody else while acknowledging there will be mistakes. This, I believe, is impossible without systemic change so radical that it amounts to revolution, because it ultimately is about breaking the relationships between big business, government and media. If those relationships stay in the kind of confluent, commensurate, interrelating patterns that they're currently in, all you're going to be doing is sort of shifting around little snitch buttons. Beep, beep, It's not going to make any difference to anybody. Luckily, my dependent child is in charge of sorting this out. Dependent child, get in there and change the world. Oh no, I don't know how to change the world. I've just soiled my diaper and made a little investment in Apple. Anyway, that's what I think about this craziness. What do you think about this craziness? Let me know in the comments below if you think any particular party is better or worse, or if radical change is required. What sort of radical change would you suggest? Give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and sign up to my mailing list. It's just one click away. Also, my Awakening channel is vitally important. You need to pray and meditate and access limitless powers within yourself if you're ever going to meaningfully confront the mighty behemoths that lurch around you from all sides, devouring your very soul through corruption. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at this cheeky one. It's where we went a bit deeper about Pelosi and that stuff. And if you want to meditate now, and who could blame you if you did, watch this. Thank you for staying with our channel. Thank you for being part of our army of 4 million. Although army, I suppose, is a militaristic tone. What should we call you? A clan, a cabal, a cartel? What do you want to be? You call yourselves whatever you want to be. We're not changing our name because you told us not to. Thanks very much for watching. Stay free.